Faith Forged in Fire, where we dive headfirst into the unique challenges and triumphs that comes with being a firefighter, all while exploring what it means to live out a biblical worldview. Join us as we find hope, perseverance, and faith in the midst of the heat and chaos. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the Faith Forged in Fire podcast.
Is that all you've got? Where's that voice, Steve?
Why did you say it like that?
I don't know.
Our apologies, ladies.
Are you okay?
That was so awkward. I inhaled some water. I wasn't expecting that.
Hey, it's okay. Just if you rewind and put your record player at 45 and listen to that instead of 33 and a third, it'll be a lot better.
Do my Barry White. My Barry White, you know.
All right, try that again. Let's do something different here.
Do we need another moment of silence?
No.
Welcome to the Faith Forged in Fire podcast. Thank you for joining us for another episode here with my three friends here.
Well, we don't
Josh,
know that.
Yeah. Looking under the table. Is there a mouse in your pocket or what's going on here? Jake, Rich, and Josh. And we thank you for taking some time to watch with us. And today, well, we want to first off talk about our new motto. So it's a
New motto?
the new motto that we have in our thing.
Oh, my goodness.
It's not new.
No.
Well, I thought we kind of came up with it here recently, didn't we?
Yeah,
It's not
recently.
Should I
now.
take over now?
The last
Why don't you
episode.
take over?
All right, so we have a new motto, and it is embracing the fires that forge our character.
I know. Thank you. I couldn't remember the first word.
Way to carry the ball.
Jake.
What happened last episode?
No, we wanted to do that. Well, thank you for joining us. We want to say, if you ever get a chance on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to this, share this podcast, because I know if anything, this makes you laugh a little bit, right? So if we're going to get laughter out of it, good enough. Please share it with your friends if they want a good laugh. Also, see us on Spotify.
Or anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
Listen to podcasts, as well as if you need to get a hold of us, please, any show ideas, any recommendations, anything, we have our new Gmail account. So it's ffifpodcast@gmail.com. Please reach out to us on that. And we also want to, Jake.
Well, I think we need to wait till the end.
Oh, that's right. We're waiting. I'm sorry. You're right.
We
said
can't just do it at the same time every time.
You're right.
If y'all can suffer.
Well, you know what? It's been a week. So
It's been a week. Yeah.
So let's, I'm going to just drop the teaser here. Stay till the end for some sort of a discount code.
Man, that's putting the pressure on.
To be determined by Jake's mood at the end.
So today,
That's true.
How giving he's feeling.
Is it going to be 50% or 75%? That is.
Rich really is
Actually,
trying.
you know what?
He is a man of the people.
Tune in or stay tuned till the end, and you'll see only 75% of us sitting here.
Where's Steve going to go?
I'm dying to know what your code is this week.
Yeah,
though.
so am I.
What we want to talk about today.
Well, let's start it off this way. Let's start off with a little fun.
Have a little fun.
Okay, so I saw this on Facebook, so we know it's true because it's on Facebook, right? So it says this. It says, in an extraordinary turn of events, a semi-truck carrying a shipment of king cobras from a scientific research lab overturned on Interstate 25 near Casper early this morning, releasing hundreds of venomous snakes onto the highway. According to the Wyoming Highway Patrol, the accident occurred around 6 a.m. when the truck driver, attempting to avoid a collision with a deer, lost control of the vehicle and veered off the road and flipped over and broke the containers holding these cobras, to which they are now all over the road. Now, we do know that this is from a site that's not trusted. So this didn't happen. But as I'm reading this and it's talking about the first responders and everybody that was there, I jokingly said, well, this is a great reminder for me to put together a resignation letter and just carry that in my pocket so that at that moment I can now turn that into whoever the officer is in charge, because this for me is a big nope. I am staying in the truck.
Wow.
My first question is, where did you get those containers? Because I want to make sure I never buy them.
So my question is, and you guys can leave this down, especially if you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments and tell us. So my question for these guys is, what is a big nope call for you where you're just like, nope? And of course, there's serious ones that we definitely don't want. That's not what I'm talking about here. But there's certain ones, like I know guys that are like, well, I just don't do puke. When the puke happens, I'm out and somebody else can deal with it. So what's a nope for you? I would say this. I just don't do snakes like that, man. Out.
Chief.
I don't like snakes, but it's also one of those, if I've got to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah. I wonder if that would kick in for me probably.
The thing is if they're calling in, these rescue people and stuff, they're wasting their time because the snakes are going to be in 2 or 3 pieces when I find them, because I'll find them with a shovel. Now, if my son was around, I'd yell for William, and William would be like, oh, look at this. It's a really cool snake. And he loves on snakes. I kind of treat him like most people do with a shovel. So, yeah. So, no, I would go, but I probably wouldn't like it. This might be the spot that I'm actually happy that I have a white helmet and I can stand back like a mile
Stand
and a
up on
half
the catwalk on the truck.
and
stick
call for help. So
yeah. I don't know. What about you guys? Any other nope?
Well, I know when I first got involved in the fire service, when I thought about getting on the job, to me, actually, I do got a funny story. I went to a fire academy many years ago in Arizona because I did think about getting on the job. Well, when I went through EMT, I had to go do my clinicals, and I went to a hospital, and I was really kind of like, this is new for me, and I was really afraid, like, what am I going to get today? Because am I ready for this? Do I really want to do this? And I'm not a big puke guy either. So I remember it was a really quiet night, and I'm thinking, okay, this is good. I'm gonna have a quiet night, not much gonna go on, because they want you to get involved, right? So we finally got this older lady, and it was sad because she was trying to overdose on some stuff, but she came in, and I remember when they used to give the activated charcoal, when they used to give that black stuff and they put it in the cup, and I knew like what happens with that, and I go, this is not gonna be good, right? So she takes it. And I'm sitting there, and I leave the room, and I'm like looking over because I'm waiting for it to happen, and I'll never forget it. She yells out because this actually made her smile. She actually was getting a kick out of me because she could tell I wasn't having this. She yells out, and the whole emergency room hears it. She goes, "Hey, Sonny, come on, grab some balls and get in here and hang out with me." And everybody starts laughing in the whole place, and I was completely embarrassed. And I thought, well, this obvious means I should not be that serious. And that's the moment I knew that maybe the fire service wasn't for me.
You got called out.
I got called out by old lady.
Yeah.
And what was funny is what's great about it is it brought her joy in a horrible situation because she was not doing well coming in, but she was getting so much amusement of my reaction and how I handle it. I thought, okay, this is worth it, but it's embarrassing at the same time because now I'm the object of ridicule here in the ER watching the young kid. So yeah, I was never a big, to this day. I mean, when the kids were young and, honey, can you get this? And I've never been good with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have one, Jake?
I don't even know how to top that.
Yeah.
How do I follow that?
Yeah.
No, honestly, anything, and we've talked about this before about the whole getting the cat out of the tree thing, but I am very allergic to cats. And I've had to get a cat out of a garage rafters that was blind cat that got stuck up there.
Was that grandma?
It was grandma. Yes, grandma. Grandma the cat got stuck in the rafters. So I do like telling the story, not revealing that it was a cat. Just be like, oh yeah, I had to go get grandma out of the rafters. But no, anything with cats. Yeah, not a fan. So I would always leave there with puffy eyes and
Yeah. Well, that's it. You guys tell us, what's your nope? What's that one thing you're just like, nah, I don't think I'm doing this today. I think somebody else is going to do this. So our topic for today, a little bit more serious than that, but I thought that was a fun way to start off the show, at least. Topic for today is, and I'll kind of say it and then we'll explain it a little bit. Our civic duty as Christians. Do we have a civic duty? And I'm not talking about just voting, but so Titus 3:1 says, remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities and to be obedient, to be ready for every good work. So part of our civil duty is to be submissive to rulers and authorities, but it also says to be ready for every good work. And so the question is that we want to talk about, and framed by, this is a firefighting or a first responder podcast. And two of us, well, three of us have been firefighters, and we don't do it for the paycheck. Well, Rich does now, I guess.
Yeah,
sort of.
somewhat, but I didn't.
Somewhat. It's
But I
not,
didn't.
and it's not lucrative still, but you didn't used to. And you still do part of your job, not for the paycheck, because when you're off of your normal time, you still respond as a volunteer, you know. So that's us doing a civic duty, right? I very much want to be fighting fire in my community. I that's something I take pride in, that I want to be able to do. And I actually have some biblical reasons why I do that. But before we talk about those, I just kind of want to see what you guys think. And maybe the part of this is to help people think about, if they're not already doing this, maybe what could I be doing, or what should I be doing as a Christian?
Steve.
Wake up.
I'm here.
He's like, I'm here. He's just
I was just listening. You guys,
I think we ought to be helping the neighbors wherever we can, whether you're EMS or fire or police or whatever. Right. But, you know, that's, I think, one of the big problems with the world right now is, and then I hate to, like with 911, I tell the kids that was the worst thing that ever happened to the U.S. But do you remember on September 12th, 13th, 14th, trying to buy an American flag?
Yeah.
If a dude had a flat tire on the expressway, did you drive by him? No. Everybody was a big community. Right. Everybody wanted to help their brother, and it didn't matter if you had what color you were, where you were from, whatever. People wanted to help, and I wish we could get back to
Well, and I think that's
that way.
Yeah, especially prevalent nowadays with this younger generation that's coming up, because they don't know a life outside of or rather they don't know a time before social media, and social media is great in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it's really pushed us apart. There's less of that human aspect. You just you become kind of an entity on the internet, right? Almost where you're not real, you're just a profile,
right?
And so, like you said, it'd be great to get back to that where we actually engage in, especially as Christians, coming together as the body of Christ to lift each other up and support each other and work together, especially in the community that we live.
A couple of weeks ago, we touched on this passage, and so we're just going to kind of touch on it again. In Mark 12, you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. But also then it says, love your neighbor as yourself. So really what we're talking about with Rich is, Rich brought up, is getting back to this of, do we actually care about our neighbors? Do we love our neighbors? And there's very much a duty there for that. But I want to take this to another level. This was something that was interesting to me. Quite a while back, I was studying Matthew chapter 5. I'm just going to read 4 verses. Jesus says, you are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. And what I want to focus on really is verse 13. When I was studying this, I think this is one of those passages that we kind of cruise over without really thinking about. And maybe I'm reading more into it than there is, but I don't think so. And I think as you understand it, there's even just the context of it, because we often talk about this as, well, salt brings flavor, right? We're to be seasoning the world around us. well, especially in the way of like loving your neighbor, right? We need to be seasoning the world around us. But when I was studying this, I was reminded of the culture. Jake took us back to some culture in the last podcast, some Bible time, New Testament culture. And for us to really grasp this, we have to do the same thing. You guys have heard the phrase, well, they're not worth their weight in salt, right? Well, where did that come from? That came because Roman soldiers were paid in salt. Salt had value. Salt had a lot of value. And Jesus is saying if the salt no longer has its value, then you throw it out to be trampled under people's feet. And literally what they would do is when the salt got old and was no good anymore, they would throw it out on the road. That's how they kind of paved their roads and their sidewalks. But what really struck me was this. We think about salt as seasoning, but do we think of salt as value? Jesus says what if we read it this way? Jesus says you are the value of the earth. And if you're no longer valuable, I think there's a point where Christians need to bring value to the earth. They need to bring value to their community. And they really should, I think they should do it in I don't want to say an official way, but if they're, but we got to make sure we're like do something. Jake, you've talked about serving on like a board at a school.
Sure. Yep.
You have your nonprofit. Now, we didn't put this together just to talk about all the stuff Jake does, but the point is he's doing things in his community to bring value to his community. If Jake wasn't here tomorrow, there would be not just a hole in his family, but there would be some holes in the community. And that's one of the things that has convicted me. That's one of the reasons that I continue to be a firefighter, and I have a conviction that I need to do that within my community, because I need to find a way to actually bring value to my community, because that shows the love of God. That's being a light.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, to take it another step, what else does salt do? Especially back then, what it was used for was a preservative. It preserves. And so, where were we on here? You are the light of the world. The city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp, put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light in all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works. All right, so I missed the very first part of that. Sorry. But what if we are a preserver of the earth, right? What if we are a preserver in our communities, and we help to, preserve that which we've already established,
right?
Which is essentially what you guys do as firefighters. You are not just adding value to the community, but you are preserving the community in which you live. And there's, a lot to be said about, men stepping up into that role. The thing is that, you go back and again, it's not to talk about the things I do or the things I've done, but after leaving the fire department, there was still a hole left in me of, having that desire to serve. That didn't go away. I may have entered into it for the wrong reason, seeking identity in that, but it doesn't mean that
doesn't mean you weren't doing good things still.
Oh, sure, yeah, and that's true too. But it didn't mean that desire didn't still exist. It just meant that God had a different plan for that desire,
right?
And so we all need to look. We all need to seek for that as well. I mean, not only seek God, but seek how we can serve him through these ways in building our communities and preserving them in the way that you do, but adding value to them as well.
Yeah. So I think this is a great opportunity here for us to give a little plug, and I'll do it so Jake doesn't have to, but giving a plug again to Red Flannel Coffee. If you've been listening, that Jake doesn't take a paycheck for himself from Red Flannel Coffee. He's been very gracious with us. Sometimes I think we probably get more of it than anybody right now. But seriously, he's been very giving to us with it. But then as we know, if you've been listening, the whole point of him starting the coffee company was to be able to fund, being able to his nonprofit that it's not just his, but that he's a part of, that gets AEDs in other schools or nonprofits that need them. He's giving back to the community through that. And I'm just challenged, I would challenge you. How many of us would say, well, I want to start, say, a coffee company or any other company, and you put all that work into it. For what reason? Because you want to put some money in your pocket. And that's not always bad. We're not saying that.
Right.
We have a responsibility to take care of our family, but what are we doing for our community to give back to our community and make sure we're bringing value to them? And I think that's just super important as a Christian, that we are not, the more that I have understood this, the more it bothers me when I see Christians just kind of sitting around not doing anything. At least bring some value to your neighborhood, right?
Well, and last week we talked about, if you're just going to read the Bible and not do anything about it, you're wasting your time. If you're just going to go to church and you're not going to live it, if you're not going to go out and be the church, you're just wasting your time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And in the same sense, though, right, if you're going to start a business as a Christian, at least, and you're not going to use it as a ministry, you're just wasting your time.
Right.
You might profit from it,
Right.
but you're still wasting your time. And so using it as that was always the intention behind it. And so when you say, like, you feel that you guys have benefited, from it more lately than anything, I view this as a ministry as well. And so using it, it's in line with the exact same reason that I started it, is to, glorify and honor God and serve Christ through it. And if I can do that through here, I absolutely will. I mean, this is going out to the entire world. Anybody,
to tens of people.
Anybody, not just the subscribers that we have, not just the subscriber that we have, but
That's the other podcast.
but it's yeah. We'll talk about that behind your back, though. But it's the potential is there for anybody who has internet access to find it, and so it's important, though, to use what it is. Theodore Roosevelt once said. He said a lot of things, but to this point, he said, "Do what you can where you are with what you have," and I think that's important in everything that you do, but especially as a Christian, do what you can where you are with what you have.
Yeah.
What I have is a community that I have the ability to serve and a business through which that I can serve it. And so I think it's important to do. I think I would be doing a disservice if I didn't do that.
Right.
And it's not saying anything about me. It's just, as a Christian, I believe that is how we should be living. I think we need to be serving God in all that we do. It kind of, again, going back to last week when you were talking about owning a boat with a friend, you felt the Holy Spirit say, "Hey, is this serving to God? Is this serving me, or is this serving you?" Mm-hmm. And so it's using what you have to serve God, and, or turning away from the things that you're not using for God.
Yeah. And we want the listeners to know too, that it doesn't mean you have to just go out and start a business, and it's serving in numerous ways, wherever you feel led.
What are we
to
doing
serve.
Right now?
Well, and that I was going to get to that. So for us four here, now I don't know if we've mentioned this before to the viewers, but the viewers, we don't take a dime for anything here.
Right.
We take no profit in this show at all. We do this because we feel led to get to you guys, and hopefully that God uses us four here to be a blessing to you in what we talk about here. But again, right now, all four of us are away from our families.
Right.
And we're here in a studio doing this. So
not to mention we've lost, and it's fine, but we've lost money, right? We're not gaining money.
Yeah.
And any money that comes in, by the way, you can buy stickers now. Shameless little plug right there, right? We can.
There you go.
Go over to redflannelcoffeeco.com and you can pick up a sticker. But the point is, and we're actually hoping maybe we can get a little bit more swag going, but with the idea that maybe we just don't have to put money out of our pocket for the podcast, but rather that some of that comes in. Because we've made a very intentional decision, as some others even have come to us and maybe talked about, well, how could we partner with you? We don't want to put any money in our pocket.
No, and we never will. That's the thing. Is this we want to make sure that everybody understands that we do this because God, we feel led by God to do this.
We want to bring value.
We want to bring value, but we hope and pray that this podcast makes a difference in someone's life. And if God can use us four guys to do it, and we can make you laugh on a day, or if you get something out of this spiritually or whatever, that is a blessing to us. Yeah. But even with that, granted, a podcast is kind of a bigger deal, but even if it's just something simple, if you feel led to, to mow your neighbor's yard or your older lady who can't do it herself.
He's a big deal.
No, I'm not.
He said a podcast is a bigger deal.
No.
Chi-Town over here. It's a big deal.
What's funny is that noise can only be heard for us, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So the other people in this room are going like,
what
in the world?
Why is he dancing right now?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
There is one other person in this room who has no idea what his father is doing.
Yeah,
that's true.
he looks at it like, I know my dad's nuts. Now it's proven.
Now it's proven.
Right.
It didn't mean to interrupt you, but I couldn't pass that.
No,
one
it's
up.
okay. That was good.
But
That was
to your
good.
point,
To your point.
it's doing whatever you can
Right.
with what you have and
Right.
where you are.
And understand too that is it especially, and we talked about this last week a little bit about being a light. Understand that people in the world, when you're a light, when you're used by Christ, people see your light. And then when they see you being used by Christ to do something of value, something that's from your heart, they see the love of Jesus through you.
Right.
And so again, if, you have a neighbor, for example, she needs help with something, need help to mow the lawn, you coming over to help mow the lawn, even though it's a little thing, right? But to them, it means the world. That's serving your community. You're not getting paid for that. You're doing it out of the kindness of your heart because you love the Lord and the Lord is using you to get to somebody else. And that's given of ourselves, right?
And the lady or the neighbor that you just mowed the grass may not be needy. They may not be somebody that's needy. They might have a brand new lawnmower that's 5 times worth what yours is. It may perhaps be a doctor that's been working countless hours and hasn't had a chance to do it. Now you come and mow his grass as a blessing to him because now he doesn't have to spend that 20 minutes or however big his lawn is, and now he can sleep and provide better care for people.
We live in such a society and a culture where it's all about me and it's about what can you do for me, right? And those little things are now like, well, when am I going to get out of it? And it's like
Nothing. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Right. And that as Christians, it should be different. That's where that's where God uses to stand out with people because why would someone give so much of themselves for nothing financially? It's like when I think we talked about the volunteer fire service and I've stressed it a number of times, I've always admired the volunteer service because you guys do so much for so little financially in a world that treasures finances so much. Right. You guys, and you said it just earlier on, value to my community. I care about my community. And actually, I know you and I had just had some talks this week about things going on about fire department stuff. And you said, I love my community. I want to serve my community where I live because the value and what you care about the people in your community. Right. So again, that right there is an incredible show of the love of God through you guys to do what you do and put your lives on the line and put so much at risk for your community. Are you guys? What are you guys doing? You guys, what is going on over here? You guys play footsie over there? What's going on over there?
My leg itched.
So I was just thinking about this as you were talking, Steve, too, and you guys mentioning both don't worry about big things. Just do what's in front of you. You mentioned that too, Jake. Just do what you can do. And I was just thinking about how often God takes that. If you're faithful in a little bit, then he'll bless that. And then he'll give you sometimes, not all, but he'll give you more, right? He'll give you, and I'm not talking about, well, he's going to give you more money, but more opportunity if you're going to keep taking those. I look back, I remember the first time walking into the fire department, no clue what was going on. No clue.
Literally, because you didn't even know what we had planned for you.
Right. No idea. Just knew there was a ministry opportunity and I wanted to, could you say, give back to your community, right? I wanted to be there. And from there, the Lord has grown that. I would have never in a million years guessed from the guy who said, no, I don't want to go to the fire academy. No, I don't want to get my EMS license. My wife would not be happy if she saw me running in found out I was running in a burning building, to where I am now as a firefighter chaplain of the second largest department, and sitting here doing this podcast on a regular basis. The Lord but each step was do what's in front of you. right? I mean, even this, it started with Jason and I a long time ago, and then this podcast sat for a little bit. And for Rich and I, it was just do what's in front of you. And we just started doing it. And now here we are, with the four of us. And,
Still winging it.
Still winging it. Just doing what's in front of us, right? But
Unscripted.
The point is you don't know where God's going to take you. And I would encourage you, don't get into something thinking about, well, where's God going to take me? That was never my thought when I walked in the fire department the first time. I was just thrilled to death to be able to be there and scared out of my mind that I was never going to be accepted. So, and because I knew I was different, right? But anyways, just find something you can do to bring some value to your community, even if it's at least bringing value to your neighbors, your neighborhood, whatever it is.
Yeah. And another one too, and I've found this is, sometimes the person is of need spiritually, mentally, physically. I need someone to talk to. I need someone to pray with me. I have something going on. And part of the premise of us doing this show is that reaching out to the community of guys that are struggling, right?
Right.
And when you have your brother that's struggling, that's a moment where God will use you, and it's not time to run away. It's not like you talk about. It's not time to run away from the fire. Right. We got to go into the fire,
facing the fire, forge our character.
Yeah,
did I get it right?
No, wait, say that again.
Facing the fires that forge our character.
Well, that is it. Facing
we'll go with that.
Okay, that's good. I couldn't.
Right.
That's right. That's right for now.
It's right for now.
It's right for now.
Good enough. But no, but when you have an individual that's hurting and needs a brother or someone that even have a non-believing, that needs someone to be there for them and pray with them. I mean, that's what an incredible calling that is, to be used by God in a moment like that. And you never know when that is a seed plant, or where that may come of it. You just never know where God's going to use that. So,
yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's time to land the plane, but we would encourage you to go and find something you can do to bring value to your community. Start praying. What is the next step you need to take? Just one little thing. Who is somebody that maybe we should just break it down that way. Who's one person you can bring value to this week, right? Just start that way.
Yeah.
But before we land the plane, we promised you, if you waited all the way to the end.
Oh, that's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
What should we go with this week? Is it? How about?
See, I told you
they literally just come up.
Talking about winging it.
We literally Jake literally makes these up as we go.
Well,
the last one, I was like, hey,
Squirrel.
we need to do behind your back, but otherwise,
that was pretty funny. Well, yeah, normally I can come up with it off the top of my head pretty quick. But what I was thinking, though, in that moment before you said that was, Christ saying whatever you do to the least of them, you do to me. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of that, idea that you find somebody to help in the, whatever you do for them, you're doing it for Christ. So it's important.
Bearded squirrel. I love it.
I like your help there. Sure. Bearded squirrel. What do we want to do? I'll give you 30% off any of the coffee. Put in bearded squirrel.
You're going to have to start changing it up here.
And I know. I came unprepared. This I got to remember what the other ones are so that people can get their discounts beforehand. So
I'll text it to you.
I text the first one to us with the
last week. Yeah.
Well, this week I did too. It's in there.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah. Last week. Yeah. But as we are recording,
keep up with it. That was a week ago.
Yes.
Come on. Where have you been?
Yeah. How hard is it to keep track of one a day?
Thanks, Chief.
Bearded Squirrel. Go to redflannelcoffeeco.com. Don't forget, if you buy 2 or more of these mugs,
I love these mugs.
Pretty sweet, heavy campfire mugs.
Oh, I love this mug.
They're automatically 30% off. So get yourself a set of 2, set of 3, set of 4. Get 12 of them. I don't care.
The more you buy, the more you save.
We say that every time. We say that's the Dave Ramsey way, right?
That's
the more
right.
you buy, the more you save. So buy the more. Yeah. Buy more.
Also, too, Remember, we have the Gmail account. Please reach out to us. Show ideas. If you want to talk about something, we can pray for you. Anything you got going on, reach out to us. FFIFpodcast@gmail.com.
And come back next week. We have a special guest.
We do have a
Next week,
special
so
We don't
guest.
do that very often, but
And-
next week
yeah.
we got a special
And the best part is you get
As
rid
a-
of me.
As
Oh, yeah, that's
as
right.
Rid of
opposed
you?
to Rich being
Oh,
here just
man.
as a guest. We have a special guest next week.
Yeah,
All right, we're out of
We
here.
gotta land this plane.
Land time.
They will see you next week.